Mate, if you reckon Aussie politics isn't completely cooked right now, you're either blind, deaf, or still clinging onto your Year 10 civics textbook. This election campaign? It's a bloody dumpster fire. And somehow Peter Dutton is standing there holding a garden hose with no water, looking surprised it's all gone to hell. Seriously, it's like watching a bloke try to put out a bushfire with a cup of Macca's ice. Meanwhile, Sky News and all the so-called experts reckon Dutton's the next big thing. Mate, he couldn't even sell a meat pie at the footy. Before we dive headfirst into this political train wreck, where Peter Dutton's leadership is collapsing, the Liberal Party is a shadow of its former self, and Australia's future is being sold out. Smash that like button, like it's the last ounce of real opposition left. Subscribe if you're ready for the truth the mainstream media's too scared to say. And don't forget to grab the brand new Make Albo Great Again shirt. Just $16 for the next 48 hours. Wear it proudly while the weak elites tear down everything we built. Let's be real for a second. Tony Abbott, for all his faults, and bloody hell there were plenty, knew how to fight. He wasn't trying to be everyone's mate. He wasn't shuffling around trying to please the Guardian crowd. He picked a few simple fights. Axed the tax, stopped the boats, and hammered them like a bloke trying to fix a wobbly fence at 6 p.m. after 12 beers. You didn't need a bloody university degree to understand what he was on about. Every tradie, every nana, every kid on their P plates knew exactly what he stood for. Straight shooter, no fluff. But Dutton? Mate, Dutton's out here trying to do a bloody dance routine between the ABC, the Sydney Morning Herald, and the Greens. One day it's slash immigration, next day it's, oh, hang on, let's review it carefully and not offend anyone's feelings. Fair dinkum, mate. Even the sheep in regional Queensland are confused about what he's actually promising. You can't lead a country by trying to sound like you're hosting Q&A on the ABC every night. You need a bit of mongrel. You need to stand for something. The funniest part? Dutton knows where the problems are. He's rattling off cost of living stats like a bloody ATM. Inflation up, wages down, energy prices through the roof. Good on you, Pete. We know the country's rooted, but what the bloody hell are you going to do about it? Talk about problems all you want, but if you don't back it up with big, bold fixes, you're just another whinger at the pub no one wants to shout a beer for. Tony Abbott nearly took Gillard out in 2010, and would have if it wasn't for a couple of dodgy backroom deals. Then he smoked Rudd in 2013 like a cheap Bunnings sausage sizzle. Why? Because he didn't stuff around with a 300-page policy platform. He found the pain points and punched them every day like clockwork. No one sat around wondering what Abbott stood for. Compare that to Dutton, who's out here tossing up ideas like a bloke throwing snags at a mozzie-ridden BBQ hoping something sticks. And don't even get me started on immigration. 500,000 people a year marching in, rents going ballistic, hospitals packed to the rafters, and what does Dutton do? He waffles about a review. Mate, if he just walked out tomorrow, stared down the cameras and said, "We're halving immigration for the next 3 years. Full stop," he'd win the bloody election in a landslide. It's not rocket science. Australians aren't racists, they just want the place to bloody work again. But no, instead he gives us a bit of Hotel Australia versus Team Australia, which was actually bloody brilliant. But then immediately goes back into hiding like a cockroach when the kitchen lights come on. You had the crowd roaring for you, mate. And then you went and fumbled the ball 5 meters from the try line. It's the same bloody story with energy too. Every man and his dog knows energy prices are cooking families alive right now. We're sitting on one of the richest continents in the world, and somehow we're paying European prices for a bloody hot shower. Nuclear? We should have had nukes firing up 10 years ago. Cheap, reliable, clean. But nah, Dutton's too scared to say it without apologising first like he's in front of the Human Rights Commission. You're never going to win by trying to out-green the Greens, mate. You go woke, you go broke. Simple as that. And don't even get me started on bloody Paris. Pulling out of the Paris Agreement should have been the first thing they announced. Australians want lights that turn on when you flick the switch, not pie-in-the-sky promises about net zero by 2050 when half of us won't even be around to see it. Instead, we're bending over backwards to impress the Euro wankers who wouldn't know a working-class Aussie if he threw a mango at their head. The worst part is, Dutton's had moments where he's almost got it right. Little flashes of hope, Like when you think maybe the Wallabies are finally going to win at Bledisloe. But then, he backs off, softens the edges, and loses the crowd. You can't be half pregnant in politics, mate. You're either swinging for the fences, or you're packing up your bat and ball and going home. Australia's crying out for someone with a bit of ticker. Someone who's not scared to call a spade a bloody shovel. Someone who doesn't apologise every time the Twitter mob gets its knickers in a twist. And right now, Dutton ain't it. He's a bloke stuck between trying to be the tough guy and trying to be the nice guy and ending up being nobody at all. So yeah, maybe it's harsh, maybe it's brutal, but mate, politics ain't a knitting circle. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the bloody kitchen. The country's in trouble. We need a leader, not another bloody committee chair. Smash that like button if you're sick of gutless politics. Share this with your mates who reckon Dutton's gonna save the day. They need a wake-up call, bigger than a double-shot flat white on Monday morning. And grab the merch too. It's cheaper than your next bloody power bill.